I'm Mahogany,
I'm Ish.
and this is Culture Currency,
Where culture
is the value.
Good morning, mate.
How's your morning going so far?
My morning is really good. Besides my voice cracking up, but it was a good morning. I ate breakfast this morning,
Nice.
so I'm happy about that. You know.
I was in the house getting my shimmy on.
Right.
And you said you was
What you was listening to?
Black cookout music.
Oh, a playlist.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that was nice. I need to do more of that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, matter of fact, I'm bugging. When I was driving, I was listening to my old school playlist with my Anita Baker, my 80s people. I can't remember all the names. My mother know the names, but they on my playlist. So
Nice. So today we're discussing the underdogs being hailed and the top dogs being nailed in Black culture.
Okay.
And what that means is like people who are doing great things are not necessarily celebrated, while the people who are doing some of the worst things are like the goal in our culture.
Oh, yeah. Yesterday or the other day, I thought you had a particular view. So you asked the question, you said, I actually don't believe that. I loved it. So I was like, you bet. So when you said, let this be the topic, we didn't define what the top dog and underdog is. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you defining it, that's exactly where my head was going in terms of that, yeah. I like the surprises. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that? Do you believe that is actually a thing, or do you believe that's just a narrative?
No, that's actually a thing. I know definitely is definitely a thing in our culture, because for one, you brought this up before, about how we celebrate someone coming home from prison, but not somebody who necessarily graduated. So I'm thinking about all the big ups, like in my family, a lot of people have gone to prison, right, and done a lot of time. And you hear more brag about that and stories than us who got our own businesses and graduated from college and all that. Like, I had my business for 15 years. I ain't get an outfit from nobody yet. You understand what I'm saying? But if I came home after 15, you'll be hearing that, like, she did 15 and she did so. But nobody talking about how I've been actually signing my own checks for like the last 10 years. It's my name on that right-hand side. You understand what I'm saying? The only person who bring it up is me, really.
That's
you
wild.
Understand? So it's like stuff like that. I mean, not that I'm looking for it, but
no,
when you brought
100%,
it made me think of it.
That should be something that's highlighted.
Yeah.
How do we get ourselves to a healthy understanding, especially our youth, if doing good is not necessarily what's going to get you the attention, the celebration, any of it.
Yeah, because it goes with the notion, check on your strong friend. Mm-hmm. Because we don't, or the kid that's doing good in the family, everybody don't really pay attention to the kid.
It's like you're supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, you're supposed to be doing that.
But most people aren't.
Right.
So if most people aren't, the people who are doing it are actually they're the ones who are putting in the extra effort, right? They're the ones who are keeping most focused, the most disciplined.
Yeah.
They're doing that's what strength is.
Exactly.
To go against
all of that,
the norms.
That's right.
And
rise above.
Yeah,
Exactly. Do you feel like do you have any examples of that where you feel like, damn?
Man. My whole life, like I've been held and nailed. For a certain amount of time, you celebrate it because you're from the distance. People love the way it looks, and then it makes people uncomfortable when they get close to it because for some reason they feel like they can't live up to it.
Damn.
And so now you become the enemy.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes down to being held and nailed from the standpoint of greatness versus the lack thereof. You go around any environment, like I eat extremely clean. I get around people who are your norm, and
you strange.
I'm getting ate up. What? You ain't gonna have a rib? Like I never ate ribs in my life. First off,
right.
Secondly, it's like, yo, I'm telling y'all I'm doing something healthy.
Right.
And it's funny because when as the person who is doing that healthier thing, people call you the judgmental one when you trying to give them game on doing better.
That's right.
But they're the ones judging you constantly.
Right.
Because you're not going along with the norm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting.
So maybe it's judgment all over the place, which interesting. It's so funny because it just happened last night. My girl called me. She was like, "Babe, so and so just bought me a drink, but it's a frozen drink and all this sugar. I cannot drink that." I said, "Babe." She's like, "So what?" I said, "Just simply say thank you, but I can't drink that." She was like, "All right, I'm gonna say that." You know what I'm saying? But it's like it was
uncomfortable.
Yeah, because it's hard when nobody else around you is doing what you're doing.
And that,
you know what I'm saying?
happy you said that, because that's where I think that's where the celebration lies, right?
Yeah.
My entire life, don't get it twisted. I've not always been locked in every area, but I've always had areas in which
the discipline
is there, right? Because of my background in martial arts.
That's right. Yep.
The household that I come from.
Right.
Just different things made it so that I was not a part of many norms. Right? And that is the biggest struggle ever. Because you're constantly being pulled in that direction, and you're constantly having to tell people no. You're constantly being treated like a pariah because you don't do what other people do.
What's that?
Outcast.
Okay.
So you're constantly being treated like a pariah because you're not succumbing to the norms or the pressures of being a part of the norm.
Right.
So it takes so much more to actually stick to your beliefs, your principles, and the things that you put in place for yourself than it does anything else. So that's the reason I brought this topic up, is because I'm like, yo, that should be celebrated.
Yeah, and there's two things I want to say, and I want to come back to exactly what we're talking about. But it just made me think of two things. For one, I prayed so long for discipline, because every level that you get to is like you get to something, but then you need more to do the next. You need more to get to the next thing. And it's like coming from where we come from, we need all that more because we are not being pushed. It's not a bunch of people that's like, yo, get up, you got to do this, or you got a crew of folks where everybody is moving on the same accord and we doing this thing together. A lot of times you by yourself.
And that's all a showing of the health factor, how unhealthy we are, right? Because that's something that should be a given. Like we should be able to come together and crush new tears together. But we're not able to do that because most people are not in the same space. In regard to mindset. Even in regard to just wanting to be more, wanting to do more, having a standard, it's hard.
Everybody doesn't live up to their potential. A lot of us want stuff, but how bad do we really want it? But at the one point I just really wanted to make was my dad. When I had to make the transition, because I, took a little tangent. I'm outside doing things I'm not supposed to do, and me and him were talking about it, and I made the decision to go back to work. You know what I'm saying? Use my degree that I already got and not do what I was doing. And he was like. But I was still dibbing and dabbing, and he was like, "You can't ride the fence, baby. You got to make a choice.
One foot in,
you know what I'm saying?
Out
but it's hard, like you said, because of where everybody that's around. It's hard to make that full transition and be on that. You understand what I'm saying? Because everything else is like, no matter what I'm doing, you know how many offers I have to do bullshit. But I got a good one of my older brothers. Me and him are really close. And he went to jail for 10 years, and he did a bunch of stuff from a young age. The way he stays in my ear, he be like, yo, I had a dream about you that da-da-da, and you had to do a year and a half because you went and did this. And like, he's like a mother. No, he's a father, but the intuition of a mother. Like, he'll call me with some shit. And I'm like, damn.
That's dope, though.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, man. So it's like, thank you, A. Love you.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. My cousin is that for me. My cousin Aziz. I hit you up this morning because I was like, yo, I want to touch on this other subject. And you reminded me that they both align. And it's another example of the lack of support when it comes down to people doing good. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to address, like, in our culture, how easy it is for us to turn on each other for the same things that we stick by others with. You know somebody who's of color, who started a business, and all it takes is for them to have one bad day and you ain't messing with them no more. Right? You go into a supermarket owned by, someone outside of the culture. And they can follow you around. They can accuse you of stealing. They could
be articles in paper saying they don't want you to buy it. They shit.
All of it. and you're still trying to force your money upon them.
Yup.
What is that about?
We already know what it's about. It's about what's being seen as as quality, what's being celebrated, what's the status symbol, what is it? And those things are not usually owned by us. I think we're starting to do better after George Floyd though. Like black business does mean something, and we're like, we try to support our people a lot more. Like my brother with his business, his lab, he wants to put black business on the thing because he feels like folks should know that. Before that wasn't a thing. I mean, it was a thing before, but now it's becoming more of a thing.
I think that we've been better at wanting to own black businesses. I'm not sure the conversation has changed. I'm still hearing a large amount of people, like, soon as they have a bad interaction, it's like, this is why I don't mess with black businesses. This is why I don't mess with black folks. And I'll be looking at them like, yo, how could you have that coming out your mouth when you black? I never understand people who can blanket statement us as a people when they are of us. Because as long as you show up responsibly, you show up consistently, you show up in greatness, you cannot make the assumption that there's no people out here like you.
Right.
So I would say I'm not coming to this establishment, but I'm not going to say that's why I don't support black
business. Yeah,
you know
that happens. I never heard that. See, that's why I don't support white business. I never heard that. That's crazy. You never heard that. But you go in there.
How wild is that?
And Taisha got an attitude that day or whatever. And you like, see, that's exactly what I don't deal with my people.
And the crazy, this is another one.
Yeah.
This is another one, because when you think about it, I have a huge problem with the fact that we have now been so whitewashed that we are putting everyone else's standards on us when we already know our culture. So
we are them.
We know that everyone doesn't operate the same way from different cultures, right? We know. As a people, we know if you go into a Jamaican restaurant, often it's direct.
Yeah.
Right?
It's different cultures.
Direct, straight to the point.
Yep.
It's not a lot of smiling
around and all that.
And small talk. It's straight to the business. Boom, boom, what you need.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Unless you got a relationship with them and it's like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, exactly.
You can't turn that into a negative.
You can't.
You know what I mean? Because it's not negative. Just because they didn't respond in the way that you felt they needed to.
Right. Doesn't mean it was
which is not their natural space.
Right.
Why does that have to be a negative outlook on these particular people?
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And I feel the same way when people talk about tones. Like, come on, as people of color, our tone is louder, even in joy and anger and all of it. Stop saying because somebody is passionate that they're aggressive.
That's right.
And rude and disrespectful. I hate it.
I was just I was in Cali a few weeks ago. Me, my girl, her daughter, my peoples. We went to see her. And she wanted to look at a property. She wanted to buy property. And the real estate, and then we laughing and talking and everything. We laughing. And he came over, he's like, when I'm showing a property, I usually like it to be quiet. I'm like, this mother... First of all, the next house is a half a mile down. You are just being biased, and you're being fucking racist as a motherfucker right now.
When you think about it, how many times we go in their environments and we act a certain way in our environment.
That's right.
And we go in their environments and we're telling each other like, yo, not in front of them.
Yeah, that's a fact.
It's wild that we feel like we have
can we
to
talk
do
about that? All right, let's talk about that real quickly.
Nah, I'm with it.
All right, so I think it's places and spaces for stuff, right? You say that all the time. Right? And certain environments, I think certain things do have to be toned and all that kind of stuff. That's not the environment for that. But in terms of like switching everything for them, now we do tend to do that a little more than we need to. We change our inflections and of course,
like if you're being
be yourself,
You know what I mean? I'm me in every room.
Right. But it's different views though. Some people don't know okay, can I say something? I want to say something.
I don't know if it's different.
A lot of times, a lot of our people don't really have a lot of decorum. They don't know how to.
No. I was about to go there.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? So it could be that, like people that are not used to, like our folks who are not used to being in different environments, because you got professional, you got home, you got the streets. Some of our people has just strictly been the streets.
Absolute.
You know what I'm saying? And their home is fucked up. So it's like when you go in places where it's a whole different culture, you really don't really know how to conform to that, and you kind of awkward and you're a little inappropriate sometimes. You know what I mean? So I think that could be, you know what I mean? That could be it.
Nah, I 100% agree with that. I'm not speaking in terms of inappropriate behavior. I'm speaking in terms of when you are being you and somebody's telling you to tone you down.
Tone you down.
Because these people won't understand you.
Yeah.
And I'm not supportive of that.
Yeah, so it's like I shouldn't be here because these are not my people then. These are not my people. I remember when I lived in the suburb for a little while with somebody I was dealing with, and I'm used to, blasting out music. I wasn't used to riding through these neighborhoods, and I had to turn Mary down. So I remember, I forgot what song, but it's Mary, and I'm driving through it, and I'm going off. I'm driving. They got Trump signs and shit in that neighborhood. I'm driving. My ex's stepdad was like, turn that down. I'm like, what? Like, why you tell? But the thing is, though, that is showing that there's like, this is not the neighborhood for that.
See, the thing is,
you know what I'm saying?
You know what's crazy? What's crazy to me is, and I'm happy you brought up that example, because I deal with that on my regular day, right? Some of our cultural habits are disrespectful, right? And we take great pride in our disrespect, right?
Like, this is our shit.
So it's not disrespectful to listen to loud music,
right?
But it is disrespectful to go into a space,
right?
And just
space at that.
Flip it on its head,
right. That's a good way.
When I go into spaces, I'm mindful of everyone in the space.
Right.
So I'm always being considerate.
Right.
But I'm always being me. Right. So I think that's where you have to find your footing and understanding that being you in its greatest form is not stepping on the feet of other people. Right. So if you do have bad habits, those are things that absolutely should be toned down.
Exactly. Yeah.
But bad habits are not necessarily who you are.
Right. It's just who you've become.
That's how you've shown. Those are ways you show up.
Yes, right. That's not necessarily who you are, because you got to get to know who you are.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of times it's under that big pile of bad habits.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up is thinking about what we're talking about is not a new conversation, but it's just a conversation that has to be constantly had. So one thing we got to think about is the way that our people are just seen around the world. Right. And I think about, film, and I think about nonprofit, because that's my world. Right. So Citizens Kane, Birth of a Nation. That's when we first saw the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan was inspired by that movie. And also the demonizing of black people, of black men, as rapists, as terrorists, as monsters. You know what I'm saying? And then from then that really was the greatest example, the catalyst of the power of media. You know what I'm saying? When film really started being a thing and all that kind of stuff, like the power of media, and we really continue to do ourselves harm, which you talked about another episode, and the things that we produce representing ourselves. And it makes me think about why my middle school teacher hated Martin so much. I didn't know why she hated Martin, but she saw it as buffoonery, and she saw it as that kind of stuff, and not really representing our people. The same way so many people hate Medea. So my point is that the examples that we see, a lot of that is that because there are a lot of us are really good, really doing well, really great people, really, and then some of us ain't shit. But that's every race, every nationality. But ours are really exaggerated on television.
You know what? I think we lean into the funny with ourselves because
laugh at my pain.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So my cousin is bothered by that as well. He's like, we so busy laughing, we ain't fixing shit. And it's an escape. So often when we do these shows, they're presenting the sad truths in a funny way because it's a way to laugh at our pain. But it's not doing the trick to give us the foundation for healing and upward movement.
You think we doing that purposely, or that's just who we are?
I think that we find funny in pretty much anything. So anytime we create, you're gonna see that. You know what I mean? However, we are not in a position.
And it's also to make it digestible too, right?
That too. But also we're not in a position to be laughing. And I think that's where the issue comes in. And we're not in a position to just be laughing. We're not in that position.
So we got to be serious?
We laugh all day long. But when it's time to work, we lock in.
Yeah.
We're not doing that as a people.
We're not locking in enough.
We're never locking in. It's always fun. It's interesting to see that we think it's not a big deal to laugh at the pain, right? It's not a big deal. Like, why can't we laugh? But if somebody else laugh at it, off with their head. So you know that there's an issue here. Right. Because otherwise everybody could laugh at it. Yeah. So it's a telling of like the covering up of what we're really feeling. Right. Because you could touch if the spot's not soft, anybody could touch it. Yeah. The moment somebody touches a soft spot, it's on. You hurt me. Yeah. Right. And now you fake enjoying it. Yeah. It's comfortable. It's keeping you comfortable. And comfort is not where change happens. Right. Comfort is not where change happens. Is there so many what do you call it, responses to us continuing to laugh at our pain instead of doing something about the things, because we are powerful people, man. Mentally, we are the creators of everything. Yeah, we got it. I literally got the book that said black people created everything. I know it sounds very extreme when I'm like, we ain't got time to be laughing. Don't mean I'm not laughing in my regular day. Going to sleep, drinking, going to sleep, like escaping. We don't have time for escape. We gotta hit it head on. The way to hitting it head on is a part of us really, really identifying who we are, who we truly want to be, how we showing up. Because when it comes back to the topic, it's like, how we expect anybody else to value us in business and personal. We're not valuing ourselves. Like, we quick to go on social media and talk about the black business, talk down about them. You're doing that in a public space. And that's one place where I feel like what happens at home, stay at home, is like, listen, holler at him and let him know, boom, 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 boom. Don't start talking, you know what I mean? We can't afford that. I don't feel like we could afford it. Yeah, we can't. Do I agree if shit is raggedy, it needs to be addressed? Absolutely. Do I believe that we should be holding each other most accountable? Absolutely. Telling you your shit stink directly because I care about shit. Going online like, yo, Aisha shit stank. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know what I mean? That friendship over. You're not building it, you're deteriorating it, right? Me coming to you is, even if it hurts in the moment, it's like, I can respect that. And now I have the tools to make the adjustment versus you making a spectacle out of me publicly. And I didn't get the lesson out of that because all I feel is betrayal. Damn. It's being attacked, right? Yeah. And when you attack, all you want to do is attack back. You can't hear nothing. You don't hear it. Yeah. So I think one thing, because on a lot of episodes we talk about what can we do different. I think one of the things is having enough care for each other that when we're supporting each other's business, let's fully do that. So that when it comes to not just walking in and buying something, but when it comes to critique, give that critique. Or if you feel like the person, doesn't want to hear it, I don't know what to say then. Then you do a publicized nah. Like, okay, what if a roach is in the collard greens? Nah, and then the owner says, collard greens, don't you have those in your house? If you say FDA and come back like, I'm going to come back in a week, it better not be no roaches. You know what I'm saying? I'm shutting y'all down. Like, then I ain't gonna lie. If a roach is in my food, you never going to see me again. I don't care who behind them. Are you publicizing? But that's the point, though. The point is not giving accountability to black businesses. It's having fair assessment all across the board. Okay. If I'm gonna have a standard for a black business, I should have the same standard for a white business, a Chinese business. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Because I'm one of those people. I'm very much, if I like this store, I'm giving them all my money. Yeah. Right. So dealing with me in a great way works in your favor. Because I'm going to continue. And if I like the owner, if I like the workers, I'm in there. I'm in there. This is my regular joint now. But the same goes for if you violate, you're never going to see me again. Right. So I am at both extremes. What about the publicity of it? Because you're just saying you. What about what we talking about in terms of putting it out there? How we deal with it? I've had scenarios in which a store has treated me horribly, and I didn't necessarily go online, but the people I deal with, I'm like, I don't fuck with that store because A, B, C, D. I'm talking about our community. I'm speaking period. Okay. You trying to say your standard is across the board? Yes. Okay. I'm fair. Okay. You know what I mean? So that's the only thing that bothers me about I don't deal with black businesses. You don't have favoritism to our stuff? I don't. I don't.
How y'all feel about that?
But I do. I don't have favoritism, but I would absolutely spend my money with us before anyone else if that's the option.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
If that's the option, I'm going to us first. That goes without saying.
Right.
But no, I don't just, the same way I don't deal with people I don't have friends because they gay. I don't have friends because they black.
Right.
I am me across the board.
Who are you? What are you doing?
In every area.
Yeah.
It's like I deal with a standard.
Yeah.
And if it meets that standard, I'm constantly dealing with you.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your background and all of that is.
Right.
It's just, if you meet this standard, this is where I'm at.
Right. All right. That makes sense. I would think that I have an affinity for black business. Am I lying? Yeah, I'm lying.
Yeah,
I'm lying. Yeah. No, I'm lying. Because I love my people, but when I'm thinking about where I shop and where I buy my clothes and all that, it's not really what black business is. I love
to have more options in the black space that can compete with the things that we deal with on a regular basis.
But I do support black. If I find out my people is doing something, I'm definitely coming to you first. I'm definitely trying to put some money in your pocket. And you know what I mean? One thing I always got to watch out with in my business is nepotism. Make sure I'm not just hiring my people. I love working with my people, my folks who I know that could do something. Mm-hmm. I want them to do it.
I've come to a place where my people are not necessarily people who are black. I deal with people who live to a certain standard. I like great humans. Mm-hmm. And sometimes great humans aren't black.
Yo, let me tell you something. The folks who have helped me really, I can't say the most, but in big way, but I mean, that's because of resources. But are white women.
I do leave space for the understanding that the reason why sometimes those exchanges are not at the standard level is because of the fact that we're sick. Mm-hmm. So my goal with all of this stuff that we're doing is to get us well enough to get to the standard, right? Mm-hmm. Because I do want to fuck with y'all, mm-hmm. right? I do want to fuck with y'all, but I'm too solid in who I am mm-hmm. to go backwards versus going forward. And then I'm trying to bring them where I'm at so we can go together.
That's true, because even in our customer service with our own people, I feel like we get very comfortable with each other in ways that sometimes it makes me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. It's like this is your business. Don't talk to me like that. This is professional right now. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So I like comfort, but I don't like too comfortable when I'm dealing with business and professionalism.
That's where truly understanding who you're dealing with comes in, right? Mm-hmm. Because understanding the difference between someone really not being professional and someone just being who they are. Right? The business standard is smile when people walk in. Yep. We're holding them to that standard. Do we want the genuine interaction or do we want the nice interaction?
But how do we know what's what? Genuine shouldn't lack professionalism, but who defines professionalism?
I was about to say that.
When we say professional, that could mean you cutting your dreads off. Like, professionalism could be so many different things.
This is my point. There's a standard set that is not our standard. So what are we judging according to? We have to think about these things.
Can you do me a favor? I'm sorry. Pass me my phone. I want to look up professionalism. They could have saw you. The competence or skill expected of a professional. The key to quality and efficiency is professionalism. Mm-hmm.
The quality of efficiency. If I go in somebody's restaurant, they don't smile, but they ask me what it is I want, I get exactly what I want. Mm-hmm. I got my napkins, I got my utensils, they hand me the bag, thank you. Right. You sufficiently getting the job done is professionalism. So the moment that somebody is not catering to you and just laughing
those are your values.
That's your shit.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that's what they value or part of that culture.
You feel me?
The thing is, as long as it's efficient, that's what we need to be paying attention to. I love that.
That right there, that should be the standard.
Right. Okay, so perfect. So with our topic of how we rate black business and support or not support of, at the end of the day, everybody, is really about efficiency. Mm-hmm. If you
come and get what you got the way that you were supposed to get.
Exactly, and that's that. And then if not, if you're able to talk to a person that can make a difference, you speak to them. You know what I mean? And if you can't, then what? Tell everybody.
I mean, I don't think that airing somebody out is off the table.
Okay.
But I do think that it should be steps and stages before that becomes a thing.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
You never go all the way to the extreme. You give people an opportunity to redeem themselves.
Agreed.
As people who are
human,
fallible.
Yeah.
We need the space to become better.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So, do I think that you should be able to air a company out? Absolutely. Even if they look like you. Do I think that that should be your first resort? Absolutely not.
Right.
Have you ever felt hailed or nailed, and why? Do you feel like that was the experience? If so,
Definitely, I've definitely felt held and nailed, in working with the Department of Education. I think part of it, I always take accountability with anything. Like, I always look at myself first, like, what could I have done differently? But I feel like there's like one key time, like, really felt the need to defend myself in the history of the business and all of those kind of things. And it was like one not so good experience. I can't remember everything. It was a few years ago, but one not so good experience. And I remember reaching out to a certain department, and they were like, "Oh yeah, because we heard this and that." I'm like, "Excuse me?" Came at the whole organization. I'm like, I've been partnering with y'all for 8 years. These are the results. These are the 1,000 kids we work with. Yes, this was the experience, but why do I have to defend myself like that? It's really, I think, was because I'm a goddamn black business. Because you can't tell me that all these partners y'all work with has never been a mistake and y'all still rocking with them. It wasn't a grade thing where it's like, nah, y'all went crazy. We got a complaint from somebody, but now it's like, yeah, I don't know. You don't know what? So you forgot everything because of this? And I had to do that to get, and they were like, you right. And we continued our business, but why did I have to defend myself like that?
That's what I'm talking about, though. See, you got to do it in every realm.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have to do that with each other.
Right. I was very offended, like, y'all bugging.
It's like, damn, I could show up in a great way in all of these ways, and then one day I have a misstep, and all of a sudden I'm the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
I've had that experience my whole life, and it's kind of a part of what made me a loner. I don't know how to halfway fuck with somebody.
Right.
That's not who I am.
Right.
So it's either I'm gonna fuck with you or I'm not gonna fuck with you.
Right.
And I get it to a degree, right? I show up at a very high level, right? And I live my life to a certain standard, and because I live my life to a certain standard, everybody around me has to live up to a certain standard. So what ends up happening
You mean
is,
your standard or their own standards?
but it is my standard, but you do have a choice on whether you want to meet the standard or not, right? So what happens is when you live your life like that, people come to the conclusion, if you are not someone who is cool with being mediocre, that you think you holier than thou. And so the moment that they come to the conclusion that you think you holier than thou, the moment you make a mistake is a celebration.
They can't wait. Oh, yeah, but look at you.
It's a celebration.
But sometimes people do get self-righteous and act holier than thou.
I agree.
That's a fact.
Some people do that.
Yeah.
I'm just not one of those people.
Right, yeah.
Right? I show up a certain way. I have a high expectation for myself, which also, if anybody who ever had a high expectation for themselves, you pay attention to them, they have a high expectation for others.
Right.
So you hold them to, them accountable.
Oh, you know what?
Lifestyle.
You know what? And you know what? And I don't even think it's really just like, oh, I'm holding you to, I got high expectations. It's just literally like, when you get to a certain level, everything around you has to change.
But that's what that is.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. Right. And you're not trying, okay, you're right. It's not judgmental or nothing. It's just, this is where I am.
That's why I don't like when people start talking the whole judgment thing.
Yeah,
because first off, if you read the definition,
this is no longer my shit.
When you read the definition of judgmental, it's not to judge. It's to judge without having the information. That's what judgmental is, right? And to judge is something that we all do every day, all day. In order to come to a conclusion about anything, you have to make a judgment. So I'm tired of people demonizing the word judgment when we all do it. I don't judge. Yes, you do. You judge. We all judge.
You're making decisions. You're judging.
It's an assessment. You have to assess in order to have a decent life. Period.
Yeah.
You have to be making some choices.
That's right.
So judgment is a part of that. Right?
I love that.
So the fact that you standing in a certain level of greatness turns you into the enemy in our community, it drives me nuts, because that means none of our greats are being celebrated while they're here. We celebrate the murderers, we celebrate the drug dealers, we celebrate the womanizers, we celebrate the abusers, we celebrate the liars, we celebrate everything but, like, soon as you show up right, you corny, you a simp, you a nerd, all of these things in our community, nothing that is good is a good thing in our community. And I always had to say I was a cool nerd, but why being a nerd couldn't just be cool? That's the point. You understand what I'm saying? You have to define it yourself in order for it to fit in a certain space. How do we get better if our children don't see the benefit.
I've heard people say, yeah, real nigga no laugh for somebody who's disrespectful to women. Like, yeah, he a real nigga, he don't play at all.
He smacked the shit out of you. Yeah.
What? I remember I had to check somebody, I said, that could never be real.
That's why if you pay attention to my dialogue now, you don't hear me say real no more. You hear me say genuine. Because we've already created a different understanding of what real means.
Yeah, like he real, he'll bust his gun. That's real? What about real is making sure that everybody get home safe, but we ain't trying to bust no gun?
Exactly.
I would say that kind of like wraps the season. One thing, my voice is changing. The seasons are changing, and the fall is coming. So for our next episodes for the next season, instead of weather changes again, we're taking it inside. So the scenery will be a bit different. We're trying to keep some continuity. We're going to do it the best way we can.
Absolutely. I appreciate the conversation.
As always.
Always a blessing.
That's right, that's right.
I'm Mahogany.
I'm Ish.
And this is Culture Currency.
Where culture
is the value.
That's right.
Good talk.
Y'all, good talk.